Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Harmonic TV. I promised to make the second part of Harmonic Jungles when we get to 200 subscribers. And here it is. In this episode, I will tell you about the scientific part of sound, as it is the fundamental knowledge about harmony. If you haven't watched the first part already, please make sure to check it out. The link is in the description below. And alrighty, now let's get into it, yeah? Let's start with the nature of sound, and of course some physics. Sound is a mechanical wave, which means in order to be created, it needs a medium. This medium can be in any form, liquid, gas, or solids. A mechanical wave is caused by movements of molecules. This movement will create a wave that can travel over long distances. But the molecules stay in the same spot since they are limited to only two types of movement, compression and rarefaction. Compressions are regions of high pressure due to particles being close together, whereas rarefaction are regions of low pressure due to the particles being spread further apart. So basically, they can move forward or backward. Take a look at this molecule's movement. It is going back and forth. And in order to visualize it better, we can transform the shape into a circle. And by cutting the circle into equal sections, we will end up with a sine wave figure that is clearly showing the waveform and the movement of the molecule. A fun fact is that if the molecules could move, then we would have a wind or vacuum in that space. Okay, now let me make an example. Imagine the speaker as a source of sound. Speakers works by converting electrical energy into mechanical energy. The mechanical energy compresses the air, and by creating a back and forth motion, they will transfer the energy from the diaphragm to the air molecules around it. When this movement starts, the closest particles to the source will start to vibrate and oscillate. Oscillation is the scientific word for rotation. It means that they continuously move in a loop or circle. After the initial push forward, they transfer the energy that they received from the diaphragm to the next group of particles. This makes the next group to oscillate as well, and this process will create a chain reaction and will go on until the energy that is being transferred starts to lower, and finally the wave dies away. If you stand in front of the speaker, your eardrum, being a very soft membrane, will absorb some of the energy as well, and will start to vibrate, and after your ear converts this information to electrical signals, it will be sent to the brain via our nerves. And then the magic begins. Generally, we have two types of waves, longitudinal waves and transverse waves. A transverse wave is where the movement direction of the wave is at right angles to the movement of the particles, like water waves. That is why when we see a piece of lumber in Waverly waters, it just goes up and down, though the wave is moving forward. Or when we tie a rope to a tree and start to create a movement with our arms, the particle motion is at right angles to the direction of the wave. Longitudinal waves, however, are where the movement of the wave and the movement of the particles are in parallel. An example would be sound waves. Let's go take a look at our speaker example again. As you can see, the wave is going forward and backward, and the motion of the molecules are in parallel to the movement of the membrane. Now, if these movements in any type of wave are in an orderly fashion and organized, they are called periodic waves. Furthermore, if they are random and chaotic, they are known as non-periodic, also known as noise. Even if you're not a musician or physicist, you probably heard this term before. Frequency. Remember all the fancy names, compression and rarefaction? Frequency is about counting these occurrences in 1 second, and the unit is Hertz, named after Heinrich Rudolf Hertz, a German scientist who conclusively proved the existence of the electromagnetic waves. So if a wave has a frequency of 1 Hertz, it is oscillating back and forth once in every second. And the human ear has the ability to pick up sounds from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. So any number within these frequencies will be perceived to us as sound, and music is basically an organized combination of these frequencies. When we talk about music, we always talk about notes. Do, re, mi, fa, si, d, e, f, and so on. Each one of these notes has a frequency. So for example, the middle key on the piano, upon being played, will emit a wave with a frequency of 261.63 Hz. We call this note Si, or Do, or Ut in the old days. Why? Well, to identify it and to reproduce the same pitch when required. But if you ask a musician to play a C for you, they're going to reply, "Huh? Which C?" That is because we have many versions of each note. For example, C2, C3, C4, and so on. The difference is that they are either higher or lower in pitch. For example, if we play the middle C on the piano, it is called the C4. Now, if we use some simple math, we can come up with some other frequencies that are derived from this note. And by doing this, we actually get closer to actual musical harmony. The fact is that, of course, you can multiply and divide any frequency to any number and come up with many different frequencies and notes. However, due to our culture, history, and the phenomena of music itself, we have certain systems in which we use to figure out different pitches, and different regions around the world have their own system. But there are some things that are universal and understood in any part of the world. Remember when I told you guys about the first interval called the octave in part 1 of Harmonic Jungles? That actually comes from doubling the frequency. So any frequency times 2 will give you the interval of the octave. Why times 2? Because if we take it look at the natural numbers, 2 is the first one that will actually give us a different result. So if C4 was roughly 261 Hz, and C5, which is an octave higher, will be 522 Hz. I find it quite amusing that the first interval accumulated by the human ear is the octave interval, and the first viable result of multiplying a frequency is also the octave. Always fascinating when culture, nature, and physics click into place. I really hope that you enjoyed the video till now, and there's a lot more to tell you guys, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you, but since I didn't want to make the length of the video longer than the average YouTube video, I had to put the rest of the content in for another episode. And I will post it when we get to 500 subscribers. So stay tuned for the next episode, and if you don't want to miss it, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't forget to leave them in the comment section. Till next time, love and peace, Humayun out.